It is the Jesse Kelly Show on a Monday, and I'm pleased about this one. Just came strolling on by, and I thought it might be a good day to talk to a Navy SEAL, former Navy SEAL senior chief, current congressman from the 3rd District in the great state of Wisconsin, my friend Congressman Derrick Van Orden. Okay, first, this is my first time I've spent a significant amount of time in Wisconsin.
Yep.
Everyone, I know cheese curds. I'm not naive. I wasn't born yesterday. I know cheese curds.
Yeah.
Beyond cheese curds, what should I be doing here? I'm here for 4 days. I don't want to talk to Republicans the whole time.
By all means, you should polka. Yeah.
Oh,
yes. Top. Because I could just see you in a pair of lederhosen just tearing it up, dude. It would be fantastic.
I am a very graceful person. It's like watching Fred Astaire when I walk around. A lot of people have said that. No, that's not exactly what my wife has said per se. But okay, let's focus on the task at hand for now.
Sure.
Everyone's talking about the event we all witnessed on TV.
You bet.
In the division, and there's a lot of talk today. A lot of talk about let's unite. Hey, let's unite. Let's calm down. And my complaint with that has been, that's a bumper sticker. That doesn't mean anything at all. I would love unity. That sounds wonderful. But unity is found on the other side of victory. You don't get unity just because something bad happened and it scared everybody. That doesn't bring about unity. That's not how that works at all. We have to defeat these people or there will not be unity.
Unity is going to start with honesty. And a few weeks ago, the American people saw Joe Biden where he's at for the first time because the mainstream legacy media has been protecting him. They saw an elderly man in cognitive decline that's incapable of leading. He couldn't even put together a couple sentences. And so now they know who Joe Biden really is, and they should look back and understand that we've been saying this for years. Okay, so that's called the truth. And then on Saturday, they saw President Trump literally take a round to the head, drop to the ground, as anyone does when you're getting shot at, stand up immediately, and his first response was to hold his fist up in the air with blood running on his face and call us to fight for our freedom. So people got to see Trump for who he is for the first time. So now they know what we're dealing with. And they now have the first honest assessment because the media has been covering for President Biden for years, and they've been lying about President Trump for years. And I think a lot of people are going through this phase of cognitive dissonance right now because they realize that they've been duped. And so unity will come because people now understand what's really taking place around them. I mean, it was like a B-52 bomber of red pills being dropped over the entire country, right? And people are like, oh my gosh, if they've been lying about Biden, maybe they've been lying about Trump. So I think we can unite. People seek leadership. We are closer to World War III than we've been in our lifetime. The economy is as bad as it's been since I was a kid in the 70s. People are having difficulty filling up a gas tank and a grocery cart on the same day in the United States of America. 10 million illegal aliens have crossed the border, and they're literally kidnapping, raping, and murdering our children. And people are sick of this. They're afraid to walk in the streets because of rampant crime, because no one's being held accountable. So people are going to gravitate towards leadership. How many never Trumpers are in the Republican Party right now? 0. How many never Trumpers are independents right now? A significant less amount of them. Same thing for libertarians. And there's also soft Democrats that are finally going to go, I've had enough of this. So I respectfully disagree. I think that we will be unifying. I think the message that President Trump is going to give tonight is going to do just that.
When was the first time you got shot at?
Shot in on purpose or on accident?
On purpose. Okay, on purpose. I'm not talking about a bad day at the range. On purpose. My first combat, and you can't see this air quotations, combat deployment was in 1996 to Bosnia, immediately following the signing of the Dayton Accords. They shot at our house a lot, threw grenades at our cars. But the first time I was in what I would call, actual combat was in 2003 in Afghanistan. That was my first tour over there. And then I went to Iraq and then back to Afghanistan and then back to Iraq and Afghanistan, bounced back and forth for quite a period of time. And then I was in the Horn of Africa I've lived and worked on 5 of the 7 continents. And I spent a lot of time in that environment.
That is a lot of time in combat. I was extremely impressed by Trump's response to being shot at because, as far as I know, that's a first time for him. He's not a friggin' Navy SEAL who's fought on every continent on the planet. He's a politician and a business dude. Can you explain that?
I had the chance to write the Special Reconnaissance and Land Warfare curriculum for all the SEAL teams. And you can't train to that. Like, you cannot train to that response, meaning that is something innate in that guy. His immediate response was, I mean, you take cover, as you do. You're supposed to identify where the shooter comes from, then you return fire. Well, he doesn't have a gun. He immediately dropped to the ground, right, as you do. And then, knowing that he didn't have a firearm, his immediate response was to rally his troops. And the troops are the American people. When he stood up and said, fight for your freedom. You can't train. Do you think they went through like a bunch of rehearsals? Okay, Mr. President, if you get shot in the head, what you're going to do is jump up in the air and make a fist and like yell fight. You can't train to that, dude. That's who that guy is, and that's why the left has been so terrified of him, and that's why they've been lying about him forever, because he has innate leadership qualities.
Can you explain the failures we saw that day? I know you still have questions. I still have questions. I don't know what we were looking at, but I know something didn't work if a 20-year-old, relatively untrained dirtball can achieve a rooftop 148 yards from the Republican nominee for president. Right. Something went wrong. Of course, the head of the Secret Service, Kim Cheeto, already announced today she's not resigning. Of course she wouldn't. What's accountability anymore? How can that happen? Because I'll tell you what, I have an email inbox full of people saying he was one lone nut job. I have an email inbox full of people saying, no way that can go. What do you say?
Well, this mission set became declassified in 2009. The top 6 Iraqi officials during the election cycle were protected by Navy SEAL platoons, and I was one of them. I was the shift lead for Ibrahim al-Jafri, the deputy vice president, who was the first democratically elected prime minister of Iraq in their country's history. And we went through an entire election cycle in a combat zone with tens of thousands of people that wanted to kill him and had the actual weapons of war to do so, and he never got shot. So when your sole duty is to prevent the president of the United States from being shot, and the president gets shot, by definition, it's mission failure. And that needs to rise to the highest level of that organization. It's wholly unacceptable to have a armed person who is not part of a law enforcement detail within 600 to 700 to 1,000 meters away from a sitting president or a presidential candidate. What we're going to do is this, Jesse, is I've implored the Speaker of the House to not do this like we're members of Congress. Meaning, don't have the 4 committees of jurisdiction squabble about whatever and try to figure this out. It ain't going to work. This has to be an independent commission. And if we find out that there's been malfeasance, if we find out that there's been a lot of procedures that are lacking, the second one, 100% we know that. First one, we know if there's malfeasance. Then we need to fire people. And they need to not have retirements. And they need to never be welcomed back into the United States government, because Donald Trump was almost assassinated on Saturday. And that's a direct fault of the Secret Service one way or the other.
Congressman, I appreciate you. I'm going to go polka my feet off after this. And then I'm going to eat cheese curds. I'll polka. I can polka. I mean, how hard can it be? When you have no shame, I can polka.
It's a papa, dude. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. It's that easy, man.
I'll do the best I can. I appreciate you, brother, as always. Very much.